Everyone deserves a chance. It was a really great article. At first, I was a little bit annoyed that I had to subscribe and then go into my email and confirm, and how dare these extra steps need to be taken, but I'm really glad I did. It is a website that I have bookmarked and intend to go back to on occasion. The fact that it states that inclusivity starts with structure, and that structure is more so for the students that would fall behind or fall through the cracks. Um, there's intention behind the structure. And when I read structure, I think lesson plans. A little ironic that Tim today had stated that we'll probably never make lesson plans again, yet there is value in them. There's value in them having a higher degree of structure. And I can hear you in my head saying, it's not for me, it's for them being the students. And I'm starting to see that more now. It's taken a long time, but I'm starting to see that more. Because, yes, when you have a definitive plan, you make sure to kind of stick through the plan and check off the boxes, if you will. I'm a firm believer that life happens when you're busy making plans, so I think there's a fine line and a balance to what's going to be most effective in terms of flexibility is necessary, and as long as your plans are a form of guidance and they're not definitive, because they will need to be morphed from class to class and day to day. So, again, starting to understand the value a little bit deeper. I did like the comment on the think, pair, share. I don't think I use it as effectively as the article states. The think component, allowing students to have individual time to think about things before pairing off and sharing. There were definitely some good tips in terms of how do you keep things anonymous, making sure that roles rotate so that you don't have one person always being at the forefront, establishing rules like needing to know people's names, and thank you. And then providing prompts in writing, which I don't know if I necessarily do, but myself being someone that is rather hard of hearing, I value the fact that the prompts are usually on the board, and I often will take a picture of them so that I can go back to them to really make sure that I got the prompt in its true essence. Speaking of a growth mindset in a classroom was mentioned, which I think is wildly valuable, and stating how personal experiences can often be helpful. I can certainly say that a number of salons that I had visited in my sales consultant role, you would see it with them. Do they have a growth mindset or do they have a poverty mindset? And just kind of establishing with students that, learning and or growth is going to be hard, but it's not impossible, and it's always worth it. And I think that's a valuable nugget of knowledge really to pass on to these young kids, and to emphasize the yet. You might not know this yet. You might not be good at this yet. But there was a time that I was in that position, and I find it really valuable. This article was geared more so towards university students, but I don't see why these things couldn't be implemented towards a younger generation and preparing them for university. So Super cool in that sense. Talking about imposter syndrome explicitly is something that I will take note to do. Connecting to students on a personal level, I think I do a pretty good job of that one. Using their names, I try to repeat people's names right away when I learn them. Model sharing pronouns can, for sure allow a level of comfort for those that might be hesitant. Fire off notes to engage the students, I think, is a really great idea as well. And I do like the fact that they're notes and it's not verbalized content. It keeps it a little bit more discreet for those that might be listening in to what the teacher is saying and praising someone, but maybe not giving them identical or parallel praise. That can be sometimes not harmful, but students can certainly take it the wrong way. Sharing some of who you are, I took a point to really do an introduction to myself when I was full on teaching last semester, and I think it went over really well. I think that the students really appreciated seeing some of the work that I've done as a hairstylist behind the chair, and knowing some of my experiences having lived in another province before and whatnot. I think gives them a good perspective into perhaps my depth of experience, if you will. And then just talking about lots of low stakes quizzes and assignments and typical test questions. I'm not quite sure what that meant. I'm not sure if that's kind of expressing to the class so that they understand what a typical test question is prior to the test. I feel like that might be what it is, and I feel like having kind of done, practical test outlines and whatnot is a form of that. Assess before and after class, whether it's a vocabulary quiz before or a short essay at the end, I think certainly helpful. Reduce stakes of major papers and tests. I've even brought up, for students that have anxiety or life comes up for some of us sometimes, and perhaps just kind of stating that you get one hall pass, one of your grades is going to be a no mark, or maybe it's just something that you don't announce and you just use your discretion when you know somebody is dealing with something behind the scenes. Setting clear expectations, absolutely. I think it's really valuable. I can't say I'm familiar with any high school teachers providing a syllabus prior to the school year, and again, we kind of touched on how that might be challenging if you don't end up getting around to all of the content and being able to stick to a definitive schedule. But definitely keeping them in the loop with things. And, whenever the article's speaking about mentors and how valuable they are, and I feel really, really blessed that I had such a wonderful experience and was able to collaborate with Miss Bolton as well as I did. She has been just an amazing part of this entire experience. Very just willing to share, willing to try new things, willing to hear me out. Yeah, it's been great. And not even just with Miss Bolton, but even the department head, Mr. Spina, and the rest of the tech department. Really, I kind of fit in like a dirty shirt around there, and it was really sad to have to part ways. And even though there might be a possibility for myself in the public board, I kind of really wanted to be in the Catholic board and potentially pursue an opportunity in that. So you never know what'll happen. And yeah, it's kind of sad wrapping up some of this stuff. Still need to do my lesson plan for tomorrow, but I have a very good idea of what I'm doing, and now that I have a little more respect and appreciation for the lesson plans themselves. I'm sure it'll take no time to whip it into shape.